So, the component of our experiment will be, number one, our power supply. Our power supply will be the supply of, we will get the supply of our voltage. Our voltage will be at 7N, wherein this 7N will be a variable voltage source from 0 to 120 volts. So next is our DIA, or your data acquisition interface. This data acquisition interface is where we will get the input or the reading of our voltages and our currents. Take note that this voltage will be the voltmeter of the system and current will be the I, or the ammeter of the system. So voltages and currents means that this will be a reading for our voltage and the reading for our current. Okay. Next is our resistive load. So the resistive load will be used as our load in the system, in the circuit. So this resistive load is composed of 300, 600, and 1200 ohms in parallel with each other. Okay. So if you want to have the parallel connection of each of this resistive load, you just have to connect these the nodes, each branches. But if you want to get the series connection of this resistive load, so cross natin from the negative terminal of our first resistive load to the positive terminal of the second resistive load, and the negative terminal of the second resistive load to the third terminal of the resistive load, and from this to our source. Okay? Ito naman papunta sa ating meter. Okay, so we are now ready to connect our circuit diagram. So our first circuit diagram, it will be shown into your screen. Okay, so our resistive load R1 will be our load. Okay, or kung saan natin kukunin yung current and voltage mo. So yun yung pinaka-load natin. Okay, so take note that our first and second resistive load will be connected in parallel because we would want to have two connection equal to 120 ohms. Resistive load equal to 120 ohm. Wherein kailangan natin ng dalawang 300 ohm and isang 600 ohm. Okay. Next is from our resistive load. So we would connect our supply. So our supply would need our 7N. So yung 7N na pinakita ko kanina sa inyo is a variable voltage source. So from 7N, pupunta tayo sa ating current. So take note that we would measure the current of our CCD circuit. So from I1, and next is our from our I1, papunta sa ating positive terminal ng ating resistive load. Okay, so ang resistor pwedeng positive or negative kasi yung terminal niyan. So para lang hindi kayo mahirapan sa pag-identify, ginawa ko na lang positive at negative terminal for safer direction ng ating current. Okay, kasi sa DC, hindi dapat pwede magbaliktad yung positive and negative terminals kasi magne-negative yung measurement ng ating current. Okay? So, ganyan parang DC natin tawag ito. Ganyan siya kapihikan in terms of polarity. Okay? So, from that, so i-complete natin yung circuit natin. So, from our positive terminal, so lalagay natin ito tatapusin na natin yung i-close natin ng circuit nyo from its negative to the neutral of our source. So 120 volt source yan. Okay? From 0 to 120 volts. So next is that we would measure the voltage of the resistor. So take note, naka-parallel yan. So tignan natin parallel ko from the positive of our voltmeter to the positive of our to the positive of the resistive load. Okay? Yan. And then from the negative of the resistive load to the negative of our voltmeter. So guys, after connecting the circuit, we are now ready to energize it. So for further information on the connection, so I will show you the connection. In this circuit, our load will be the resistive load. So the resistive load will be 120 ohm. So as you can see, 300 ohm and another 300 ohm and your 600 ohm. So take note that the connection of this resistive load is in parallel. So after that, you can see the connections, the combination of the parallel combination of 300 ohm and 600 ohm, which is 120 ohm, is in series with our source, which is 120 volts variable DC source. And then after connecting that one, we will connect the 120 volts into our ammeter. Take note that our ammeter is always in series with the load. So therefore, in this data acquisition interface, the ammeter is also protected by fuse. So that is the protection for this lab volt. So from the positive side of our current source, take note that if you are talking about DC, polarity is very important. Okay, so from the positive side of our current, in order to give us positive answer, tawag natin, in order to give us positive measurement, so dapat nakakonect yan, positive na yan, and then yung negative nya papunta sa load, which will complete the circuit. And then next is the metering through our voltmeter. Take note that if you would measure the voltage of any load that you would want, your voltmeter should be in parallel with the load. Okay, so naka-parallel yan. Neutral or your negative to your positive. Okay, so after that is that after connecting this one, we would like to measure the voltage and the current through our data acquisition interface, or our DAI. So using this data acquisition interface, we would have our voltmeter and our ammeter, would measure it using our computer. Okay, so from that, we would turn on our load. Okay, so line 1, line 2, line 3 is activated, which means that the power of the power supply is already turned on. So after that, in order to measure the current, syempre, we would apply voltage. So this is the variable DC voltage in our DAI. So therefore, itataas natin to. Ang requirement ng ating experiment is this is at 100%. So hindi ko siya binibigla para hindi ma-stress yung mga resistor natin. Okay, so 100%. Okay, as you can see, it is connected to our computer by our computer I/O, input output. So data acquisition pupunta sa ating computer, and our computer will measure the voltage and the current in the experiment. So hanggang 100% tayo. So let's try to measure this one. Okay, so hindi ko maabot yung knob. Okay, this is a 20 volts, 19 volts. Okay, at 35 volts, at 41 volts. Yan. Okay, 58, 68 volts. So as you can see, V is equal to IR. So as we increase the voltage, the current will also increase. Okay? Because V is directly proportional with our I. Okay? So 114.5, 90. Okay, this is the 100% of our knob. So 149.4, 1.252, 1.253 is the current. So after our first step in our third experiment, so we will now follow our procedure number 11. Okay? Wherein according to the procedure number 11, we will double the 240 volts into 120 ohm resistance into 240 volts. Okay? So, we will double our resistance. Okay? So, ano yung pwede natin combination? The combination will be your 1,200 ohms connected in parallel with your 300 ohms. So, therefore, hindi na natin kakailangan itong isang connection. Okay? So, rekta na natin dyan. Right? So, rekta ko na rin ito dito. So, take note of our voltmeters connected in parallel with our load. Ayan. Okay? And then, 120 ohm natin. Okay? So, pwede na natin siyang i-energize. Our load was already been changed from 120 ohms or the connection of two 300 ohms plus 1,600 ohm in parallel. So we have changed it into the connection of 1,200 ohms in parallel with 300 ohms in order to get the value of 240 ohms. Okay? So like our other step, we will follow the procedure. So i-kukan natin siya. Tatasan natin yung power supply niya into 120 volt. From the load, which is 240 ohms, so we will energize it. So make sure dapat na yung current natin nakaseries sa ating load. Okay? And then yung voltmeter natin is nakaparallel sa load kasi may measure natin yung voltahe niya. Ayan, nakaparallel siya. And then dapat yung circuit natin kompleto para may measure tayo. Okay, kasi pag open yan, so wala tayong measure kasi wala namang current na dadaan dyan. So, let us energize the circuit from 0 to 120 volts. Okay? Okay, so hindi pa pala naka-turn on yung power natin. Ayan. So, excited, no? So, tataasan natin siya from 0 to 120 volts. Okay? Up. 200%. Okay. Measurement from 0 to 100% of our voltage. So pataas siya ng pataas. So nakikita niyo pataas din ng pataas yung current in our voltage. So P is equal to IR. Okay. Right? Okay. So, tabulate nyo lang guys. Okay. The final voltage is 151.6 volts and 0.636. 0.636. So after our first and second procedure, so third procedure tayo. So tatanggalin natin yung ating resistor load. So yung requirement ng circuit natin is the series connection of our 171 ohm, 200 ohm and 240 ohms. Okay? So ayusin ko lang. So, series connection ng ating 171 ohm, 200 ohm, at 240 ohms. So, okay. So, let's do this. Kasi yellow muna tayo. Yan. So, set up muna natin yung load natin. Okay. Naka-series lahat yan. Okay, so yun. Naka-series siya, so naka-cross joints. Yan. Series. Okay. So, yung first resistance natin is the combination of 171 ohm. So, therefore, yung tatlo dapat nakataas. The parallel combination of 1,200, 600, and 300. Next is the combination of the 200 ohm, which is the combination of our 600 and 300 ohm. And lastly, the combination of 240 ohm or the combination of 1,200 and 300 ohm. Okay? So, after finishing this one, so we will complete the circuit. So, our load will be 120 volts variable, source, I should say, is 120 volts variable. Okay? So, from the 120 volts variable na 7 tayo, so ito, from 7A. Okay? So, from 7A, pupunta sa ating current. Okay? From the positive of our current, yung current natin pupunta sa terminal ng ating resistor. Okay? First terminal of our resistor. And then lastly, yung last terminal ng ating resistor or yung series connection ng ating mga resistor pupunta sa ating. Okay? So that is already a complete circuit. So we would like to also to measure the IS natin o yung total current ng circuit natin. So therefore next is we would want to measure the voltage of our loads. So gagawin natin, magpaparallel tayo ng mga voltage sa load natin kasi nga gusto natin i-measure to. So always remember that you would want to measure the voltage of any load. So therefore you must make the voltmeter in parallel with the load. Right? Yan, nakaparallel yan. So kulang tayo ng okay. Okay. So that is our connect. Okay, so ito yung kinonnect natin kanina, right? So first, I would like to show you the load. So the load is 171 ohms because it is the parallel combination of your 1, 2, 600 and 300. And then next is 200 ohms because it is the combination of our 600 and 300. And next is our 240 ohms because it is the combination of our 1, 2 and our 300, right? So after connecting these loads in series, so take note naka-series yan, so naka-cross to, naka-series to, okay, series connection, series connection, yung series with the load or with each other, and then after that tatapusin natin siya, okay, sa 7N, right? Okay, yan. So another thing is the measurement of our voltage. So take note in ampere to. So nakaparallel tong voltmeter natin sa load natin. Yan. So voltmeter 1 and our voltmeter 2. Our voltmeter 2 and our voltmeter 3. Right? Yan. So next is now we will energize the we will now energize our connection. Okay? So pag nag-energize tayo, syempre i-on natin yung power supply natin. And then our voltage from 0 to 100%. Okay? 30% tayo. 40%, 50%, 70%, 80%, and 90%, 100%. Okay? The value of your voltage to our data acquisition interface na connected sa ating computer, right? From 0 to 100%. Okay? And right? This will be the procedure number 19 of our activity 3, wherein according to it, so tatanggalin muna natin yung yung mga voltage natin, yung measurement ng voltage natin. Okay, so tatanggalin natin yung voltage measurements natin. So tatanggalin daw natin yung voltmeter natin, yung mga voltmeters natin. So pagtatanggalin daw natin siya. Okay. Skip pa. Skip. Okay. So tatanggalin natin yung mga measurements ng voltage natin. Pero iwan daw natin yung E1. Okay. And then according to the experiment, you would use the E1 to measure our source voltage, which is 7N. Okay. So i-measure natin yung source voltage natin. Okay. Ito yan. So ayan. And then turn on natin siya ulit into 100%. Okay, so i-on muna natin yung power supply. I-on muna natin siya into 100%. Okay. What is the voltage? Procedure number 20, it would set our voltage knob into 75% of our total load. Okay, 70. Ayan. 75. Okay? So, hindi ko na ipapakita yung kuwan natin yan, yung patas ng load natin. So, rekta tayo sa ating metering. Okay? From 0 to 75, the voltage is 112.6 and the current is 0.186. So, wag nyo nang isipin yung ER2 at ER3 kasi wala talaga yung measurement kasi wala na disconnect yan. Okay. Procedure number 24. In our procedure number 24, we will measure or we will connect another circuit. We're in this procedure, so naka-connect yung R1 natin and R2, which is our R1 is 171 ohm and our R2 is 200 ohm in parallel with each other. So, i-connect natin siya in parallel with each other. So, i-off ko lang ang supply natin. Okay? So, in parallel with each other. So, therefore, tatanggalin natin ito. Okay. Yan. Load will be 171 ohm and 200 ohms. So 600 nakaparallel sa 300 and lahat ng 1 to 600 300 nakaparallel sa isa't isa. And then from the positive negative terminal of our current, yung polarity niya, and then from our source to the positive terminal of our current or our ammeter. Okay? So next is that after connecting that one, ang next na gagawin natin is from our para ma-close yung loop natin from our terminal 2 ng ating parallel connection to our 7N. Okay? So tatanggalin na natin tong measurement ng ating voltmeter dito kasi hindi na to kailangan. Alright? Okay? Ang next na gusto nating i-measure is the voltage. Voltage ng ating R1 and R2. Take note, pag nakaparallel yan, dapat parehas yung voltage niya, di ba? So therefore, ito na lang yung i-measure natin. Okay, ito. Ayan. Okay? So let's go. So in this procedure number 25, okay, so we will measure the current. We will measure the voltage and the current of the system. Okay. So let us set up the circuit shown in figure 1-15, which is already set up. Okay. After selecting the DA11-5. Ang gagawin natin is we will have a blind voltage of 120 volts. If we will see if the power supply will generate 120 volts, what would be the power in the resistor and the total power? So is it approximately equal or equal to the theory? So gawin natin, on natin yung power supply. Okay. So, i-monitor natin siya dito sa ating analog meter if nakapunta sa 120 volts. Okay. So, that is already 50 volts. Okay. 110. 120 volts. Okay. So from that, titignan din natin sa meter. Kaya hanggang mapunta tayo sa 120 volts. Oh, 119.7, 123. Bawas pa konti. Ayan, baka tumas pa yan. Oh, bawas konti. Bawas konti. Okay.